Thanks very much. It'll bring a whole new meaning to Connect 4 for me, that the prizes are pints of Guinness. So good luck to all the competitors in relation to that. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, good morning. I want to begin by thanking ISC Squared for inviting me here today and to give me an opportunity to address this important conference. Croke Park, as any of the Irish people here will know, holds a very specific type of feeling in everyone's heart, and I suppose for me, being a Roscommon man, it's great to be back here for the third time this year performing in Croke Park. It's just a pity that the Roscommon team weren't here as many times as I have been, but maybe next year might be a bit different. But first of all, I also want to welcome each and every one of you that have come from the four corners of the globe to be here, and I hope you get the opportunity during your visit here to experience Irish hospitality. Ireland has a good story to tell when it comes to the digital economy. It employs 100,000 people, of which over 6,000 are employed directly in cybersecurity. Vice President Ansip of the European Commission, when visiting me here in Dublin last month, confirmed that we in Ireland rank 8th among the 28 member states according to the Commission's Digital Economy and Society Index. And in terms of e-commerce, in small and medium-sized enterprises, Ireland ranks first in the European Union. Ireland is home to 9 of the 10 global software companies. 9 of the 10 global ICT companies are also here. And the top 10 born on the internet companies all have significant operations here in Ireland. The top 5 cybersecurity software firms in the world are also based here too. I'd like to point out that a key social, economic and political priority for me as Communications Minister is the National Broadband Plan. This plan will predominantly bring fibre to the home to rural Ireland. This means that the majority of consumers in rural Ireland will have access to services of up to a gigabit per second, with businesses availing of symmetrical upload and download speeds. This investment, along with competition in our towns and cities across Ireland, will drive investment to continually improve services right across both urban and rural Ireland. In addition, last week's budget here in Ireland, funding was made available to facilitate the reallocation of the 700 megahertz spectrum away from television broadcasting to support broadband and mobile telephony service plans, particularly in rural areas. This means that a valuable spectrum band will be freed up to deliver mobile data, including 5G, particularly in rural areas. Ireland is now likely to be the first EU country to roll out 5G on a geographic rather than a population basis. This puts Ireland to the forefront of Europe and internationally in terms of connectivity and quality of service. The reason that there's such demand for broadband speed and capacity is that we live in a digital world where everything is becoming connected, bringing huge opportunities to business and society. Our homes are becoming smarter, from TVs to fridges, alarms, baby monitors, heating and air conditioning. All of these are being networked and accessible for personal convenience and enhanced control, as well as for energy efficiency. I read with interest this morning the Visa 2016 digital payment study, which shows that 3/4 of Irish consumers manage their money or make payments by using mobile devices, nearly 50% higher than the EU average. Interesting in the study, it also highlights the fact that nearly 6 out of 10 55 to 64-year-olds currently use a mobile device for banking. This highlights the level of trust which they have in relation to using technology, which is an endorsement of your profession. But as we know, security of devices and of data is continually under threat. Last year, my department published Ireland's first national cybersecurity strategy, which built on the long-standing recognition of the state's own role in facilitating improved security in the online world. The strategy set out how we would protect our digital assets, including personal data and infrastructure. Following on from this, I'll be bringing a memorandum to Cabinet next week to establish a national cybersecurity centre. The Centre will have a primary focus on securing government networks and assisting industry and individuals in protecting their own digital assets. It will also cover the security of critical national infrastructure. This will build on the existing Computer Security Incident Response Team, which has been in place in my department since 2011, providing incident response services to government departments and core state agencies. Earlier this year, after 3 years of negotiations, the EU agreed a directive on security of network and information systems. Many of you, I suspect, will for the first time be impacted upon by an EU directive within your own industry. At the moment, we're engaged with the European Union institutions and public bodies on the precise details of the implementation, which will be enacted in May of next year. This will have very significant implications for companies who want to do business in the European Union. The directive represents a step change in how countries in Europe approach cybersecurity and involves a shift in approach towards a more formal type of regulatory relationship in certain key industries. In some essential services, we will be required to identify critical infrastructure operators and to require them to report incidents on a mandatory basis and meet certain security standards. In practical terms, this means that across the energy, transport, finance, health, water supply and digital infrastructure sectors, we will be actively identifying which physical infrastructure we regard as critical. We'll be compelling owners or operators to take measures to secure these against attack. The other core component of the directive covers the so-called digital service providers, those search engines, sales platforms and cloud providers that power and underpin the global internet economy. Given that many of these companies have their EU headquarters here in Ireland, we will be required to manage their compliance with the directive on a pan-European level. All of this needs to be completed and in place within the next 2 years. To get this ball rolling, so to speak, I'll be launching a public consultation on the implementation of this directive in the coming days. And I'll invite those of you with suggestions on the approach that Ireland should take to feed into this process. Our likely approach is to incorporate both the regulatory and operational functions within the Cyber Security Centre, folding the existing Computer Security Incident Response Team into this new office. This will be driven by a core team within my department, headed up by Dr. Richard Brown, who was one of the negotiators in relation to the EU directive itself and is now responsible for the implementation of it here in Ireland. And I think it's important that we have effective and acceptable cybersecurity, which involves a balance of individual rights, particularly with regard to privacy and data protection, with the public safety interests of protection of life, property and national security. And that is a difficult and challenging balance for us to get, particularly in the current climate. In line with the directive, it is envisaged that personal data such as IP addresses will be exchanged with competent third parties for the purpose of network and information security, so that property of individuals and businesses can be protected. Just last month, the Central Bank of Ireland published its guidance in respect of information technology and cybersecurity risks. In welcoming this in a world becoming ever more reliant on digital, I echo the need for appropriate governance and risk management process to be put in place. Our banks, our hospitals, our airports, our airlines, shipping, rail and road vehicles, together with utility providers, need to be safe from cyber attacks. I recognise that regulation alone will not be sufficient. I'm therefore committed to a programme of education and training so that the public, as well as business, are better able to protect themselves in a digital world. And I want to thank you, each and every one of you here that's involved with the ISC Squared programme in relation to Garfield. I haven't had a chance to read the comic yet, but I'll have a chance later on. But my department, as you know, also has responsibility in relation to this area and raising awareness. And I think this particular initiative is to be complimented and welcomed because it provides schools and young people with the opportunity to highlight the risks associated with the internet and the need for people to be cyber aware in relation to the security issues and risks that are there in a way that's responsible. Responsible so that people take the correct approach, but not too afraid to actually use the technology and exploit it to its full potential. And stronger public awareness of the value of digital assets will help to reduce the impact of cybercrime on us all and on our businesses. Across government and in the Oireachtas, I will advocate for the timely enactment of the Criminal Justice Offences Relating to Information Systems Bill 2016, led by my colleague, the Minister for Justice, Francis Fitzgerald TD. This bill makes provision for a series of explicit offences around hacking, the use of malware, intrusion and the theft of data. Finally, keeping pace with the ever-increasing sophistication of cyber incidents is a challenge for us all, and I am pleased therefore that ISC Squared has chosen Ireland to host this important event. I thank you once again for your opportunity, for the opportunity to make this contribution here today, and I look forward to hearing the outputs from your deliberations. Thank you very much.